Hey everybody, it's Melissa, and in this video we're going to be talking about how to pick what fragrance to wear or buy if you're looking to build your collection. And I will be doing a separate video on how to pick your signature scent, and these are actually topics that I've tackled before, but I think with a newer following, it's always good to kind of do updated videos of this because I understand the struggle of picking what you should wear that day, all right? So to me, I break it down into three separate categories. The first is your signature scent, the second is the weather, and thirdly is situational. So with a signature scent, again, that's going to be its own video, but very simple. This is the fragrance that you've chosen to wear day in, day out, that people associate that smell with you. So a lot of people, once they find their signature scent, that's all they need. They are not looking to build or to get a new fragrance regardless of whatever situation they have. So as long as they have their signature and it's versatile enough for all the situations, then that's perfect for them. So that's always a good recommendation for all of you looking for that one-stop shop type of fragrance. And an example of that would be something like, let's take Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. All right, so this one I say is a pretty versatile fragrance. It's a feminine scent, and you can use this in any season and it'll still smell good. Now, I know in the summertime this might get a little bit too sweet. So of course, in extreme high heat, be cautious with it. But then I also know that there's places, especially like with my following in the Middle East, that they literally just wear sweet fragrances year round. So again, it kind of depends where you live and what the norm is around you. But fragrances like Good Girl by Carolina Herrera are great signature scents because they're dumb reach fragrances and they smell great. Majority of people really, really like them. And it just makes it easy for you when you're trying to decide what to wear when you only have one fragrance. And you know that she'll do the job every single time. You know what I'm saying? Another good example of this would be something like Aqua Oud by Precious Liquid for all of you niche fanatics. All right, so this fragrance, it is more of a fresh scent, but at the same time, this is the type of fresh fragrance that even if it's cold, like even if we're talking it's freezing, it's snowing outside, people will still be able to smell you because it's like a powerhouse fresh scent that you only need a couple sprays of. Now, if we were to just say the difference between these two fragrances, I would say we know that things like Carolina Herrera's Good Girl are pretty mainstream, very likable, not that polarizing of a fragrance, but this one right here does have more of a unique layer to it, not just because of the fact that it's not as popular, but also because the scent profile of this is just not as common that people wear. And I'm talking mainly in like Western countries, even, well, you know, in the East, they like oud is very popular, but yeah, I guess I could just cater this more to like a Western audience. Something like Aqua Oud is very much like a curious sort of compliment getting fragrance because people, like, once they smell it, it automatically gets their attention because they're like, I have not smelled anything like that before. And the more they smell it, the more addicting that it gets. So this is a good example of a signature scent, and this is a good example of like a versatile dumb reach fragrance. All right, so the next thing that I said I believe was weather, and that is very simple as well. So when you have a good collection, or if you have some fragrances and you don't know what to wear, always look to the weather, or even weather, or just even the season that you're in, right? So if it's summertime and it's hot outside, you don't have to look at your sweet scents. You automatically know, okay, I should probably wear something fresh and clean. So when it's hot, go fresh and clean. If the sun is out and you know that you're gonna be out there running errands or being active, whatever it is that you're doing, if it's summertime, springtime, pull for that fresh and clean fragrance. You can go for a nice floral scent if you want, like Springtime in a Park by Replica. That's a great springtime fragrance. Or one of my favorite scents here, Afternoon Swim by Louis Vuitton. This is an orange scent, and this is a great summertime fragrance, a beach fragrance. So again, weather is perfect. Now, the other half of that is when it's cold outside, you can still wear fresh fragrances because honestly, fresh and clean scents are very universal. Even if it's cold outside, you're still gonna shower and to make sure that you're clean, right? And you are going to step out of that shower smelling fresh. So it's not something that's going to shock people if you smell fresh in really cold weather. But a lot of people like to wear their sweet, loud, beast mode type of fragrances. So let's take something like this is, the pronunciation, come on, Altier. Altier is, I hope I'm not saying that wrong, but this is a sweet scent. So is Side Effect by Inicio. And in my opinion, these two shine best when it's already chilly outside or when the sun is down. So these are like winter, fall type of fragrances as well. But even if you live in a place that's predominantly just chilly, like if you live in Seattle or if you're in Buffalo and it's like snowing, you know what I mean? You can reach for these and they will shine like no other. Like that is the perfect time to wear something a bit more daring. And even if I had Spice Bomb Extreme here, I would show you guys that fragrance as well. But those type of scents, they carry so nicely in cold weather. So when it's hot outside, fresh and cleans. If it's cold outside, you can go sweet, sexy, or spicy and sexy. You can still do fresh and clean, but the drawback to wearing a fresh and clean fragrance in cold weather is kind of the example of, I like to use the example of flowers. Like you don't see flowers really blooming in the snow. What happens if you leave a flower in the snow or you try to grow it? It's going to die off, right? It's going to dry out. It's not going to last very long. And that is going to be typical of fresh fragrances as well. So if you're wearing something that, let's just take Afternoon Swim, right? If you're wearing something like Afternoon Swim, and let's say you get 5 hours of longevity with it, right? But you're wearing this when it's really cold outside. And then all of a sudden, maybe after like a couple hours, you're like, damn, that fragrance fell off me really fast. I don't know what's like, maybe it's the bottle, maybe it's the juice. No, it's the atmosphere and the weather around you. So the longevity of the fresh fragrances will not do that well in really cold weather. So keep that in mind, all right? Versus if you wore a sweet fragrance in the high heat, that can get annoying and that can get nauseating to people, all right? Because if you already got to when heat or when the sun basically comes down on you, it's when that, okay. When it's hot, you're gonna heat up, like, and like it turns these already fresh, kind of soury fragrances a little bit sweeter. Like let's take Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Intense, the feminine version, right? So that's a lemon apple musk fragrance. You wear that in the high heat, first of all, it's already like a sour, sort of acidic scent, right? But then when you wear it when it's warm outside, that thing starts to smell like, like a tall glass of lemonade, something really refreshing. So it gives it just, the heat just turns it a little bit sweeter, right? So like that makes it perfect. Now, if you already have a fragrance like Side Effect that's already sweet, and then it's super hot, and it's turning that thing almost overly sweet to a point that you're kind of getting a bit nauseated, that's the drawback with the sweet scents. And I have been in those situations where it's been like a hot summer day, and then you go in an elevator and people are sweaty and somebody in there is wearing a sweet fragrance and everybody else is like, oh my God, where is the sense of awareness here? Now, again, I remember I said in the beginning of this video that some places that's a norm. Wearing like strong oud fragrances, even if it's 100 degrees outside, is a norm. But again, I live in the West, so it's just not that common here. So cater it based on what your norm is and what y'all are used to. But another example I have of that is specifically, it reminds me of high school. Like I had PE fourth period. So that is right before lunchtime. And so it's like noon, right? And the sun is beating down on you. You're sweaty. It's hot. You go back in the locker room to change to go eat lunch. And I just remember that there were girls that were spraying, what's that? It's like an Aqualina fragrance. I think it's called Pink Sugar. That's the one. And it was just mixing with like the heat from their body, and almost it had just like this really nauseating smell to it. And some people like their BO was still there, right? So their bodies are super hot. The sun, it's like prime time where it's just hitting on you, and you got this sweet strawberry, like sugary, like caramel fragrance just mixing with all that, and it made it smell worse. So I would say it's a bigger gamble to wear a sweet scent in the high heat than it is to wear a fresh fragrance in cold weather. So just keep that in mind. Lastly is the situational box that I talked about. If you are starting your morning and you're like, I'm going to be at work today. It's a Monday morning. You're like, all right, situational, I'm going to be at work. All right, so you're going to pull for your professional fragrance, something like Grey Vetiver by Tom Ford. This smells fantastic in a work environment. Now this, I will say there's going to be overlap in the things that I'm saying, because typically office-friendly fragrances tend to be fresh fragrances. So if you have your fresh scent, like even with afternoon swim, you could still pull this off in the office if you wanted to. But again, there are things that are better suited for the office, like Grey Vetiver. So this is just like a nice professional smelling sort of fragrance that you're like, that's situational, right? And let's say work is over and you're going back home, but you have a date that night. And you're like, okay, it's a date night. What should I wear? I want to wear something intimate. And let's say you take a shower after work and you're going through your fragrance collection. You're like, I could wear Grey Vetiver if I wanted to, but I really want something that's gonna just ooze sex appeal, you know? And that's when you pull for something like La Nuit de l'Homme by YSL. So always think situational. If you are going multiple places in one day and you don't have time to come home and change your fragrance, I totally get that. And that's why I would say something like Grey Vetiver, like those office fragrances, will still tend to do well on those dates. Like they will still be fine. But if you do ever go back home and you're like, oh, you know what? It's date night. I'm going to shower up, kind of get cleaned up. Then you can throw on something like this. So that's always, and that's another video topic that I can cover is, well, one, building your fragrance collection. And two is, picking what fragrances for other like situations, right? So another, just to kind of like round it off, because we touched on wearing, an intimate fragrance for date nights, your office fragrance for situations. Let's say you're going to the club, or you're going to, let's say a gala. Let's say gala. You're going a little bit more upscale tonight, and you want something that is going to have presence because you're getting dressed up. Let's say you're going to stunt in a really beautiful black gown, or you're going to be wearing this really fitted tuxedo, right? And you're like, dang, I want something that's not too safe, that's still bold, but people like, that's going to have that head turning type of reaction. You can pull for something like Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. All right, I know that this is pretty popular in the fragrance community in general, but overall, this does a good job at having people go, damn, like this snaps necks. A lot of people love this scent. It's a sweet, like holiday-esque sort of fragrance. Or if you want something like Roses Vanille, right? And this, I think, would still be a good clubbing fragrance as well. You can wear Tobacco Vanille to a club if you wanted to, but I see this more as a gala sort of fragrance. But let's say if you wanted to club, like you're gonna be out late that night, you want Roses Vanille, throw this one on, and you will get really good reactions with this fragrance as well. It smells exactly like you would picture roses, vanilla. In fact, it reminds me of Intense Cafe, just minus the coffee. So if you don't like the coffee in Intense Cafe, then just get Roses Vanille. So there it is. You can always, it's easy to pick what fragrance you want to wear if you can look at the weather. And if the weather is something that kind of trips you up, then you can go situational. Or if you're a one-stop shop type of person, then just rock a signature scent that has versatility, and you will never have an issue picking your fragrance again. All right. So I hope that was helpful. If you want more video breakdowns like this, please let me know. And also let me know what you guys rock as your signature scents in the comment section. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.